I grew up in a family affected by MS, a disease that, among many other things, often leads to complications with mobility. Through this experience, I was introduced to the MS Society and the community that came with it. Every year, they would host a youth camp where kids would go to learn about the disease and share their experiences. One of the activities we did every year that stuck with me was an empathy exercise. They'd have us wear things like weighted shoes, Vaseline-covered glasses, and thick gloves while we did a series of tasks to simulate what it might be like to live with MS. Every year we'd be met with the same difficulties, frustrations, and urge to give up, and what took us years to figure out was that in order to get through the course successfully, it was best to ask for help and accept support. What this taught us was that we often take our mobility for granted and don't realize that once it is taken away, so is much of our independence. While accepting support is often the best thing to do, it is also one of the hardest. As I got older and saw my dad, grandparents, and friends within the MS community struggle with their mobility, it became clear that one of the most difficult aspects of their new normal was the stigmas faced when using a mobility aid such as a walker. When they decided to use one was when they chose to make their challenge visible to the world, and was often met with a feeling of embarrassment. However, this shouldn't be the case. Mobility is just another aspect of our health, and being proactive about maintaining it is no different from brushing your teeth or taking your vitamins. Nobody should feel ashamed of mobility complications because they can affect anyone regardless of age or background, and will likely affect most of us at some point in our lives. Our aging society has become an aged society, and falls have become a global public health crisis, costing our national healthcare system over $50 billion every year. But more importantly, costing millions of individuals years of living independently in their own homes.
At Telo, we understand that a mobility aid is more than a medical device. It's also a lifestyle device. Similar to a pair of shoes, it's something that can support you, keep you active, even be fashionable, and allow you to go out and do those things that you care most about. This is why we are working on the first significant innovation to the rollator walker in 40 years, a device that has remained largely unchanged since its creation back in 1978, yet something millions of people rely on every day. This lack of innovation is in large part due to the industry overlooking the challenges of younger individuals with mobility-compromising illnesses, and rather solely designing for the elderly, despite the fact that half the US population with disabilities is under the age of 65. So by understanding that we're not solving for an age demographic, but rather for anyone facing these challenges, we've opened up new opportunities to leverage technology and rethink the status quo. By talking with our community and physical therapists, we learned that rollators are often heavily associated with falls due to their ability to run away from you, causing poor posture, bad walking habits, and overdependence on the device. The way the device lives in front of the user naturally allows for it to get away from them, and if not adjusted properly, can permanently harm a person's gait patterns. We found that in some cases, physical therapists will even wrap TheraBand around the backs of patients and tie it to the handlebars, just to remind them that if it gets too far ahead of them, they need to pull it back in. These insights made it clear that there are some inherent flaws to the classic design, and it's why many see it as the last stepping stone before the loss of ambulation. It's because the way the rollator walkers are designed now, the decision to use one is also the acceptance that your mobility will never be the same again. To solve this, our patent-pending design features a reverse frame that puts the user at its center, with integrated back support to prevent the device from getting ahead of them. This posterior design supports good posture, proper gait, better breathing, and better neuroplasticity while developing proper walking habits. Now, reverse frames are commonly seen in pediatric gait trainers, but there are currently no offerings on the market for adults, despite the fact that physical therapists have no major concerns for the configuration with older patients. By opening up the user to the world, they are seen first, not their mobility aid, allowing them to show off killer outfits, engage with what's in front of them, and even simply get a hug from a loved one.
Redesigning the walking frame to provide better support was seen as our bare minimum. In order to truly innovate, we aim to create a solution that makes our community want to be proactive about maintaining their mobility instead of waiting until it is in need. And this idea led to our focus on training, not treatment, providing encouragement to hit new goals, track progress, stay active, and take control of how our users spend their energy, similar to the activity trackers that our community can't fully benefit from while using a walking frame. By integrating load cells and wheel encoders directly into our device, we are able to measure speed, distance, and weight put on the handles. And with these simple metrics, we can give our users a better understanding of their activity by setting baselines and passively measuring their mobility progress and trends. Giving people a better understanding of how their activity will not only allow them to challenge themselves and hit their goals, but also give them a better understanding about how they use their energy, allowing them to spend it where they like.
While motivating our community to stay active and proactive towards their health is important, professional help is always beneficial. Both our users and physical therapists have been looking for ways to broaden access to therapy and bring it into the home for better progress and outcomes. Currently, rehabilitation is often confined to the clinic, and therapists have little insight into how the exercises translate to the home. When these home exercises are utilized, they are almost always done without the support of a physical therapist, visualization tools, or data metrics. By taking advantage of our activity tracking technology and mobile application, therapists can remotely engage with their patients through things like gait assessment tests, tailored therapy routines, and they'll be easily able to track both metrics and outcomes of their patients, all of which will be crucial for Telo in obtaining insurance reimbursement. Through our device, we aim to broaden the reach of physical therapy services at the convenience of both clinicians and patients. While Telo's vision may start with a personal mobility aid, we intend to continue to develop innovative solutions to keep people of all ages and conditions living independent, active lifestyles in their own homes for as long as possible. And we hope you will join us on our journey.